You've been lied to. Your entire life, you've been told to chase her, buy her flowers, text her good morning, be sweet, be soft, be available, and what has it gotten you? Ghosted, ignored, replaced. Let me make something crystal clear. You are not here to chase. You are here to build. Every second you spend simping, scrolling, begging for attention. You are leaking power. You are bleeding potential. While you're busy chasing her, someone else is chasing purpose. While you're double texting, someone else is doubling his income. While you're hoping she'll call, another man is making moves she'll never forget. Be undeniable. Be so focused on growth that her attention is a side effect, not a goal. You don't chase women, you attract everything. Money, success, respect. By becoming a force she can't ignore, this world doesn't reward the desperate, it rewards the disciplined. Build yourself so strong, so sharp, so unshakable, that she prays you even notice. And if you're not ready to hear that truth, good, you're exactly who this is for. Value isn't something you announce with empty boasts or desperate gestures. It's the invisible force that makes others lean in, curious and compelled. When you wake up each morning with a mission to sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, and expand your skill set, you're not just passing time, you're generating value that radiates through every interaction. It shows in the way you carry yourself, in the calm confidence of your voice, in the fact that you don't need validation because you've built an unshakable foundation within. People sense that energy. It pulls them toward you like iron filings to a magnet. You don't have to chase attention or approval because you're already a force of nature. Wealth seeks out competence. Opportunities flock to those who deliver results. And the very people you once chased, who ghosted your texts and shrugged off your invitations, now watch from the sidelines, wondering what changed. They see someone who didn't beg for a fragment of their time, but who carved out his own destiny. They notice someone who invested in himself instead of investing in their fleeting mood swings. That's value manifest. It doesn't scream for notice, it simply commands it. As you double down on learning, whether it's mastering a language, conquering a new market, or dominating a discipline, you embed layers of worth that no one can take away. Your portfolio of talents becomes your standard currency, and before long, women, money, respect. They're drawn to your orbit as naturally as sunrise follows night. You stop playing small and start playing with high stakes because you know your own potential. You become a leader in your own story, not an extra in someone else's romance. Every time you choose the gym over the bar, the books over the scroll, the early hustle over lazy comforts, you're bankrolling your future value. There's no room for half measures when you're crafting a legacy. Desperation is a liability. It reeks of insecurity and hollows out your worth. But a man who stands tall, who speaks with purpose and moves with direction, exudes an aura that transcends words. You'll find that when you radiate genuine confidence, doors open you didn't even know existed. Invitations replace rejections. Introductions replace indifference. And money, the ultimate feedback loop on productivity, becomes your loyal ally because it always flows to competence and conviction. You begin to realize that every second spent groveling, every euro wasted on chasing someone else's fleeting interest, is a second stolen from your own empire. You reclaim that time by nurturing your talents, expanding your connections, and building assets that outlast any momentary fling. Suddenly, success isn't about being lucky or having the right person in your life. It's about becoming so valuable that success can't ignore you. That is your mission, to develop skills that elevate you above the masses, to cultivate habits that forge an ironclad mindset, and to project an energy so magnetic that nothing else matters. Others will chase trends and swipe left and right, while you're out here architecting your future. They'll squabble over distractions as you stack wins. They'll beg for breadcrumbs of attention while you feast on abundance, because you learned the unspoken law: value attracts, desperation repels. And the more value you create within yourself, the more the world lines up at your doorstep. Money, admiration, and yes, the kind of connection that's drawn to strength rather than need. You've spent too long on your knees chasing approval, scrambling for crumbs of attention, begging for affection as if someone else sets your worth. Stop believing that your value is determined by someone else's willingness to glance your way. You are the prize. When you carry yourself like the most valuable asset in the room, you don't need to prove anything, because everyone already sees it. Your confidence isn't a mask you slap on, it's the natural outcome of consistent victories in the gym, in business, in every arena you choose to dominate. You don't chase, you attract. Women, opportunities, money, they all gravitate toward the force you've become. You stand tall not because you outrank them, but because you've mastered yourself. That mastery shines through every word you speak, every move you make, and it signals to the world that you're not to be bargained with. Imagine a diamond miner digging through dirt and rock day after day. Does the diamond beg the miner to keep digging? No. The gem's worth is undeniable, and the miner's perseverance uncovers it. You are that diamond, and your perseverance is the grind you commit to each dawn. The moment you accept that you're a treasure forged under pressure, you stop groveling for scraps of affection. You invest in your own excavation, lifting heavier weights, absorbing more knowledge, growing your bank balance, so relentlessly that people can't help but notice the shine. And when you reveal your true luster, you don't need to lower yourself to gain interest. They're compelled to step forward on their own. Every text you send from that place of validation, rather than need, becomes a luxury, an invitation instead of a plea. When you sit across from someone at dinner, you don't flinch or stammer, hoping you've said the right thing. You speak with the calm authority of a man who has earned his seat at the table. Your laughter isn't frantic, it's genuine. Your posture isn't crumbled, it's erect. That energy is irresistible, like a master clockmaker whose precision work draws curiosity from every corner of the room. You don't chase the details of someone else's life. You let them chase the mystery of yours. Think about the highest paid professionals in any field. They don't hustle for clout by retweeting or begging for likes. They focus on outcomes, landing deals, hitting sales targets, creating breakthroughs. Their bank accounts swell not because they chased numbers, but because they built systems and delivered results. Then the numbers chase them. Your personal brand works exactly the same way. Build reputation, chase excellence, and watch as respect and resources flood your path. Anyone can chase a heart. Only the rare architect builds an empire of influence around himself. And once that empire stands, it towers over the petty distractions of chasing someone else's affection. You can't fake being the prize. You can't plaster on confidence like cologne. You cultivate it through relentless self-investment, choosing cold showers over comfort, reading books instead of scrolling feeds, taking calculated risks when your instincts scream comfort. Each of these decisions compounds, layering you with the aura of a man who refuses to settle. When you finally step into a room, that aura greets everyone before you even open your mouth. If she's drawn to whispers of greatness, she'll follow that energy. If money is seeking fertile ground, it'll pour into your projects. You become a magnet not by waiting for the world to approve you, but by creating a gravity field so powerful it pulls the world into your orbit. So stop worrying about whether she'll text back or if you're worthy of her time. You've already proven your value by choosing to stand on your own 2 feet, to fight your own battles, and to carve out your own legacy. Now let them chase you. You think you're winning when you spend your nights scrolling through profiles, double, texting for attention, and trying to impress someone who barely notices you. But here's a truth that cuts deeper than any barbed compliment. Every second you fritter away chasing validation instead of value is a second you rob from your own future. Money isn't just paper or numbers in a bank account. It's freedom to live on your own terms, freedom to call the shots, freedom to wake up without an alarm because you choose to work on what excites you, not because you have to. When you dedicate your energy to pursuits that yield tangible returns, whether a side hustle that grows into an empire or skills that skyrocket your earning potential, you're buying options. Options to travel, options to invest, options to say no to toxic drama and yes to challenges that propel you forward. That's real power, and the sooner you understand that, the faster you'll break free from the cycle of chasing someone else's fleeting interest. Imagine two men. One spends his evenings waiting for her reply, measuring his worth by her last seen timestamp. The other spends those same hours refining a pitch, building a portfolio, or learning a market trend years before the mainstream catches on. In one case, your heart rate spikes with anticipation every time your phone buzzes. In the other, your bank balance ticks upward, and your confidence solidifies with every milestone you achieve. Which life would you rather live? The former leaves you packed with anxiety and debt, perpetually hungry for scraps of attention. The latter transforms you into a man whose calendar is booked, whose network expands, and whose sense of self-worth is unshakable because it's rooted in productivity, not permission. You might argue, but what about relationships? What about companionship? Here's the kicker. Genuine connections flourish when you're already at peace with yourself. A man who's financially secure, mentally sharp, and emotionally resilient isn't begging for affection. He's offering value. He brings experiences, perspectives, and a vision of the future. He has the freedom to invest time in a partnership that complements him rather than cliffs into dependence. Trying to force attraction by chasing someone undermines that dynamic and shackles you to a needy mindset. Instead, chase ventures that compound, income streams that multiply, skills that appreciate, and networks that leverage your potential. That's the kind of pursuit that pays dividends in every area of lifing, including the kind of relationships that stand the test of time. Your time is the only currency that's forever irretrievable. You can always earn more money, but you can't earn back a minute you waste. Every hour spent complaining about being alone, customizing your pickup lines, or analyzing her Instagram stories is an hour not spent scaling your business, mastering a language, or improving your strength and health. Those actions yield returns that ripple through every corner of your existence. They erect a fortress of self-reliance around you, so no amount of rejection can shake your foundation. Meanwhile, chasing someone else's approval builds nothing but a fragile ego that cracks under pressure. Real freedom emerges when you channel that same hustle into crafting a life you wouldn't dream of abandoning for a text message notification. Look at the world's most successful figures, the titans in tech, finance, sports, and entertainment. They didn't wait for validation from a romantic interest before they made their move. They woke up studied market shifts, invested in personal growth, and outworked entire industries. Their reward wasn't just wealth. It was the autonomy to choose relationships that added to their lives instead of subtracting from them. They understood that chasing purpose builds power in a way chasing individuals never could. Power attracts power. When you're radiating competence, everywhere you turn you see opportunities knocking at your door, investors lining up, mentors reaching out, and yes, people who want to share your success rather than siphon it. Stop confusing the thrill of the chase with meaningful progress. The rush you get from a flirty message is temporary, an addictive spike of dopamine that leaves you craving more. But the satisfaction you feel after closing a deal, hitting a new personal best in the gym, or launching a successful project, that's a currency that sustains itself because it feeds your identity. You become a man who defines himself by his output, not by the mercy of another's attention. That shift in mindset is seismic. It elevates your entire approach to life, fueling your ambition and insulating you from the sting of rejection because you have too much at stake. Your vision, your legacy, your freedom. So drop the childish games and start worshiping at the altar of purposeful action. Align your efforts with goals that generate lasting wealth and unshakable independence. Channel that intensity you've been pouring into chasing whispers of affection into building an existence so liberating that you hold all the cards. When money equals freedom, you're no longer a pleaser. You're a creator, an innovator, and a magnet for everything you desire. And once you taste that level of empowerment, you'll never settle for anything less than the pursuit that truly sets you free. Discipline is the muscle that turns your ambitions into reality. Desire is the spark, fleeting, fickle, and all too easy to let fizzle out when the first obstacle appears. You know the feeling. You wake up fired up, heart pounding, convinced today is the day you'll change everything. By lunchtime, you're scrolling social feeds, bargaining with yourself for just 5 more minutes of mindless distraction. That urge to chase the high of instant gratification corrodes your focus. Every time you give in to a craving, whether it's the pull of a notification, the temptation to binge another episode, or the half-hearted promise to start tomorrow, you chip away at your potential. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care about how you feel. It's a contract you sign with yourself, a daily ritual of choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. When desire whispers, give up. Discipline roars, keep going. You've probably convinced yourself that motivation will carry you through. You'll read one quote, watch one video, and suddenly you're a productivity machine. But motivation is a passenger. Discipline is the driver. Motivation can't hold the wheel when fatigue sets in or when your environment conspires against you. Discipline thrives in those moments. It's the commitment to sit down and grind even when every fiber of your being screams for comfort. It's waking up before dawn to train your body, diving into research instead of risking an all-night party, and refusing to compromise on the standards you set. You don't negotiate with discipline, you execute it. Because every concession to desire today is a lost opportunity tomorrow. Building an empire isn't about glamorous breakthroughs. It's a series of small, consistent actions compounded over time. Desires are seductive distractions, promising immediate pleasure in exchange for long-term regret. You know that feeling in your gut when you skip the gym, fall into bad habits, or cut corners at work. You betray yourself. Discipline is the antidote. It's showing up when no one's watching, hitting your targets in silence, and letting results shout your success. It's creating routines so ironclad that skipping one feels as bizarre as forgetting to breathe. You lock in your schedule, sunrise workouts, uninterrupted focus blocks, meals planned and prepped, progress tracked with ruthless honesty. When you map out your empire, every brick is laid through repeated acts of discipline. Desire offers shortcuts that lead nowhere. Discipline carves the only path worth taking. Discipline isn't a trait you're born with, it's forged through repetition. The first time you choose work over play, it hurts. The temptation is real, claws sinking in, but you push past it. The next time, it still hurts, but less. With each victory over desire, your discipline muscle grows. It becomes easier to choose the calloused path because you've tasted the results. Increased confidence, sharpened skills, and a momentum that sweeps you forward. Suddenly, the man who once caved to every whim is the one setting the pace. He's the one others watch, wondering how he finds the time and the willpower. They don't see the countless mornings spent alone with nothing but a kettlebell and a goal. They don't hear the silent victories of choice after choice that stack up into unbreakable resolve. Every empire worth building demands a toll. Your comfort, your excuses, your permission to settle. Discipline collects that toll willingly, knowing it's the currency of kings. Desire begs for leniency, asking you to quit early, to treat yourself, to take it easy. But an empire never thrives on ease. It thrives on the relentless execution of your vision. Even when desire claws at your back, throwing fits and casting doubt, you ignore the noise, you stay on course. You trust the process because you've seen what discipline builds: character, consistency, and the kind of respect that can't be bought. The world doesn't hand out empires to the highest bidders. It gifts them to those who refuse to be derailed by temptation. When desire knocks, discipline answers the door with a firm handshake and says, "Thanks, but I'm busy building." Your energy is the only real currency you have, and how you spend it determines every outcome in your life. Every minute you devote to Netflix binges or idle scrolling is a choice to exhaust your potential on distractions that pay no dividends. Meanwhile, every ounce of effort you channel into mastering a skill, building a relationship, or growing your enterprise compounds like interest in a high-yield account. You don't simply lose hours when you fritter them away. You bleed your drive, diluting the fuel you need to power your ambitions. Imagine energy as a resource so finite that once you've spent it, it vanishes forever. Would you squander it on petty pursuits, or would you invest it where it multiplies? When you wake up each morning, you set a tone for the entire day by deciding where your energy goes first. Do you collapse back into the comfort of your bed, scrolling through a sea of status updates that trigger envy and comparison, or do you leap up, ready to tackle a notebook full of goals? Those first actions of the day broadcast to your subconscious what you value, and they cascade into every decision that follows. If you start by nourishing your body with a workout, fueling your mind with a chapter of a book, and prioritizing your top task, you declare war on lethargy and passivity. That initial surge of energy creates momentum. Suddenly, distractions feel dull, and the path to progress looks illuminated. Energy is also contagious. When you carry a vibration of purpose, an intensity that can't be faked, others pick up on it instantly. Walk into a room with the visible spark of a man who's living on mission, and you'll see heads turn. People sense whether you're running on empty or whether you're powered by a relentless engine of self-belief. They want to be around the ladder to breathe in that vitality and catch a spark for their own lives. That's why successful leaders and entrepreneurs make it a point to guard their energy jealously, isolating themselves from drains, negative people, soul-sucking environments, and toxic routines. They know that one bad interaction can derail hours of focused work and fracture their concentration. Where you place your focus becomes your identity. Pour your energy into sculpting your physique, and you become the embodiment of discipline and health. Pour it into mastering a language, and you become a polyglot capable of unlocking new cultures and opportunities. Pour it into building your business, and you become a force in the marketplace. This is more than a metaphor, it's a law. Energy invested compounds, creating a feedback loop that elevates your confidence and reinforces your habits. Conversely, energy wasted is lost forever, leaving you drained, unmotivated, and stuck in a loop of regret and self-criticism. Every day, you make thousands of tiny choices about how to allocate your energy. Do you spend 20 minutes checking your ex's social media, or 20 minutes drafting an email that could land you your next big client? Do you pour heart into a real conversation that deepens a bond, or do you pour it into gossip that degrades your surroundings? These seemingly small decisions accumulate, and over weeks and months, they carve your character. Your results are simply the downstream effect of those choices. The question isn't whether you can find more time. Everyone has the same 24 hours. The question is where you choose to deploy your vitality. Your energy also dictates the quality of your relationships. When you reserve your best self, your attention, empathy, ambition for people who reciprocate and elevate you, those connections flourish. But when you drain yourself chasing attention from those who don't value you, you end up exhausted and empty-handed. Hi, Val. You people don't flock to someone who's spread too thin. They seek out those with depth, presence, and an unwavering sense of self. To become magnetic, you must protect your energy and give it only to people and projects that honor it. Think of energy like water flowing through pipes. If you've got leaks, bad habits, mindless entertainment, toxic relationships, your pressure drops and you can't sustain the flow needed to power your ambitions. You either fix the leaks or you accept low performance. The choice is yours. Fixing leaks means auditing every aspect of your life and cutting out anything that siphons off your strength without return. It's ruthless but necessary. You wouldn't tolerate a leaking bank account. Why tolerate a leaking spirit? When you align your energy with your vision, extraordinary things happen. You'll find yourself waking up earlier without an alarm, driven by an internal thermostat set to achievement. You'll work with a clarity that slices through obstacles, and you'll accelerate toward your targets with unmatched force. People around you will start to refer to you as unstoppable or relentless. Not because you're inhuman, but because you've learned to channel your human energy with precision. You're no longer a victim of your whims. You're the architect of your capacity. Energy is the raw material of every success story. It's what fuels your ambition, sharpens your focus, and ignites the spark that draws opportunities to you. If you want to attract the best in life, wealth, influence, connection, you have to become a master of your own energy. Spend it where it matters most, defend it fiercely, and watch as it transforms not just your outcomes, but the very man you are.